Okay. See if it pops up. All right, everybody. How is everybody? Just playing around here. How do y'all like it? You got a little background going on. How about that? Yeah, I've been messing with this stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and stop that. All right. And then I'm going to disconnect these headphones so I don't get discombobulated. Oh. And I'm going to... All right. Hello, everybody. And welcome back for this week's Rabun County Rag. Hope everybody had a good week. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Don't go nowhere. I'm hearing music from somewhere. I may not have this right yet. You know what? Yeah, somebody, if anybody's on there, let me know if something's goofed up. I'm going to stop that. And I'm not going to do any more of that. Don't save. So I've quit that one application. And I'm going to delete that. How we doing out there, everybody? Sorry about that. I appreciate y'all sticking with me for a minute, getting my act together as usual. I'm trying. I'm working on it every week. How's everybody? Y'all ready for the 4th of July? Coming up on us. For 249 years ago, what was it, 55 men got together and pledged their lives and their property for the formation of this great country. Now, a lot of people got different opinions talking about this and that and the other. But there are people from all over the world trying to get here. And a lot of them have, and a lot of them are enemies, but we don't know because we didn't have the opportunity to vet them properly. We do have immigration laws. We have immigration laws in this country. And those immigration laws are to allow us to judge somebody who wants to get into this country. And I think we should have the absolute right to judge. I mean, you make a judgment when you let somebody in your house, don't you? You don't? You just let anybody just, walk in anytime they want, huh? All right. Well, you can do that because it's a free country. However, we have laws, and we're not going to let you just walk in. We shouldn't just be letting you walk into the country. It's not a good idea for anybody. I understand there's a lot of people, hard-working people who want to get in here and probably deserve to be in our country. And I want them to be here. but please go through the channels. Don't you want to protect the way of life that you dream about from afar? Tell me honest now, don't you? Don't you? And if you enter the country illegally, by definition, you're already a criminal. So just come into our country. We love you. We want to have you. Please, please come in. But go to the proper channels. We want to embrace you. We want to show you. We want you to have our same ideas and outlooks on life. And the only way to do that is you become acclimated. If you're going to come here and learn the language. I mean, the Italians did, the Germans did, and whoever else came into this country acclimated. They learned to say the Pledge of Allegiance. They learned about the history of the country, and they did it because they were in the legal channels, and they had to take tests to show that they wanted to be a citizen. And if you came in illegally, why are you here? You don't care anything about this country? The country that welcomed you in and gave you open arms? So, as Americans, let's celebrate the 4th of July. And if you're an immigrant, a legal immigrant, join in. Read the Declaration of Independence. I read it today. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Anyway, I forgot to change my thing again. Hold on a minute, everybody. Rabun County Rag. There we go. I got the right thing going now. I'm so glad to have y'all with me. Rabun County Rag. And I say this every week, and I'll keep doing it, that I called it the Rag for a bunch of reasons, but the main one is that back in the old days, before we had the internet and before we had telephone, well, real good telephone service anyway, well before telephones, we had radio services, and we had amateur radio services, and they would figure out what frequencies they could talk on what time of the year, like right now we're in the summertime. And the atmosphere heats up the ionosphere, and you can talk a long way away. Man, you can talk all the way, almost clean around the other side of the earth. Before we had internet, instantaneous communications through phone and internet and all that stuff. So they would get together and share information about their communities where they were at. And they would call it chewing the rag. Yeah, this is kind of a swing on it, the rag, chewing the rag out here. My objective, and I hope someone eventually joins me, is that we're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, and protecting our families, our community, our culture, and environment. We're here to exchange ideas, resources, and information. And if you're a part of this, you could be anywhere. You could be in your own part of the country, and you can join our group and say hello from anywhere else. And we'll say, if you got one, some of us might want to jump onto your local station and say hello and be a part of your group and stop in and see how y'all are doing. And that way we can have a way to communicate with each other as like-minded people. And I'm not opposed to anybody else running this. I'm not opposed to, I'd be willing to set up some kind of, I don't know what you call it, Zoom or Meet or something, and record it and have guests. I've got some space here. I can bring guests in, and we can do all that fun stuff. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Do I have a? Nope. I got an outline here for this, but I really don't have time frames established on it. Anybody here what was that? I think I told the trout fishing bear story last week. And before that, the beaver, trout fishing beaver. Maybe I'll come up with something else to talk about. Y'all pop in and say hello. Let's see, what do we got? Anyway, that's what we're here for. We be a community of like-minded people. And we have things that things we want to talk about, spread information. I hope everybody's had good news for the week. I'm grateful that it's been a really nice week for the garden. We had a little bit of rain last night. Was it last night or night before? It came down pretty good. And it gave, for a while there, I was worried about the garden being too wet. And then I got worried about it being too dry. I guess when you garden, I guess you worry about it a lot, especially if you're trying to change it into a resource, a resource for your food source and for the wildlife. I'm starting to get some tomatoes. I know a lot of you further south have already eaten tomatoes out of your garden, but I'm up here at 2,000 feet and 2,200, I think, is what I'm at. The continental divide here, the eastern continental divide, I think it's 36. So I'm at 20 or 2,000 and 2,200. And boy, I'm in the forest, so I got just a little bit of green space, a little bit of sunny spot out there. That tree it's not quite successful yet. I'll poison it one more time to open up sunlight. If somebody would like to see some pictures of the old garden and the homestead here, if you roll through here and you watch it, leave me a message and I'll leave me a comment. Hey, show us what you got, and I'll take some pictures to show it to you. I got it mulched last week, so it's kind of on autopilot right now. I did that no-till this year, no-till gardening. And so I guess I am just waiting to see. I tell you one thing I'm grateful for. Wolfork Baptist Church. I guess Bill Barker is the pastor there, and he does a daily inspirational message, and he puts it out on the Facebook. If y'all get a chance to look him up, y'all look him up. It's really nice to have it's a small community church, and it's really nice that he's put the resources together to present a mini sermon, so to say, on a daily basis. I think he does it on a daily basis. That's a lot of work, boys and girls. That man's reaching out. So if you get a chance, check him out. Thank you, Bill Barker. I'm grateful for it. It's a great way to freshen the spirit on a daily basis. So think about your week and see if you've got anything to be grateful. If you ain't thinking right. Your head ain't on straight if you can't find something to be grateful about in this past week. I make an effort every day to be grateful about something. Opportunity to go for a nice long walk, and I'm trying to build up where I'm getting maybe 2 or 3 miles a day instead of just maybe 1 to 2.5 miles a day. But I'm working on it, and it takes persistence. Hell, man, I'd like to roll over and go back to sleep. I'm grateful that it is the 4th of July. That's the main thing this week, and I'm proud to be an American, and I hope you are too. And I've been talking about that darn old road. I need to get out there on the tractor. I got to cut the grass too. I told my wife I was going to get the grass cut this week. She goes, I said, what's that supposed to mean? I said, you don't think I will? She said, you done said it. I reckon you will. She likes it cut a little shorter than I do. I guess I've talked about that before. I like it to go about, I don't know, between the ankle and halfway up the calf, or a third of the way up the calf. I like to give the little flowers, and that keeps the insect population healthy. She gets upset about the ants. I don't get upset about the darn ants. I don't get upset about anything, hardly. She said, well, get snakes in there. I said, just the odds are just as big as getting snakes in your grass as they are bears in your yard. You just got to look out for both of them. But anyway, I need to get on that. And I've talked about it on and off again, and I'm going to keep talking about it. We need some manufacturing in our county, and I think the best thing we could do, I think the best manufacturing opportunity we can have in the county I live in is clothing and maybe some shoe manufacturers. There's going to come a day where getting clothes out of China might be kind of tough, and it's going to be kind of expensive, and it's going to be far more expensive getting them out of China in the future, I think, than it will be getting them right out of our own communities. In this part of the country, cotton used to be known as king. People all over the world bought our cotton. We could grow cotton down here. And as the years went on, we had clothing manufacturers, shirts, underwear, jeans, and man, we could put people to work, good paying jobs. You're not going to get wealthy on it, but a man could provide for his family, or a woman could provide for the family, and have a comfortable living, and still, it wouldn't be that big a footprint. That we've already got some places here in the county that at one time were designated as clothing manufacturers. Right now, the darn hospital industry, thanks to Obamacare, is buying it all up, and for whatever reason, it's just going to generate an influx of people, maybe, and then our higher cost. I ain't seen nothing but the escalation in healthcare costs since Obamacare passed, and it's a darn shame. It's a darn shame. If we had the same insurance costs, and insurance companies can't even compete because of Obamacare. They're not allowed to. They're forcing everybody into these exchanges, and heck, the state governments, they're jumping in on the bandwagon. They're getting it cheap from the federal government. Their insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever it is, at 90%. So they piling in on that. So competition has been just decimated by Obamacare, and I think it's had some detrimental effects on the medical service industry in this country. I think we need to take another look at that. Anyway, just moaning along. At least we have the greatest medical technology on the face of the planet, but it's kind of priced out where most people won't take advantage of it. We've got more doctors. They say we have a shortage of them. I don't know if that's the case or not. You think that more doctors is going to make the prices? It might. Competition, has a tendency to mediate prices. More people doing it for chasing the same dollars, We'll see. We'll see. And it was nice. I told y'all about it. Nice to see the turkeys around here. One thing out there on the county is was that Persimmon Road. If it goes out there, it goes across the top of the mountains and back around. And the Forest Service of several years ago, we had a bunch of fires up there, and the Forest Service, their traffic beat it up putting them fires out, and they hadn't done any maintenance, so to speak, of over the past few years on that. Somebody posted the other day that the Forest Service was up there doing road work, and I said, that's good. That's good. And then I commented, and I think it was on the Facebook. I said, yeah, now I wish they would do something about that Darnell shooting rifle range over there off Kelly Creek. That's on National Forest too. And I've been talking about that a while now. I even contacted the Forest Service and talked to some people about putting together a consortium of public or private interest to go up there and see about it. But you know, the federal government, they got so many darn regulations. If you're going to go up there and build a road, it's got to be certain gravel size. You got to do this, you got to do that. You know, guys doing it for free, they can't go through all that cost. So it's kind of, you know, out of the way. If they just say, yeah, go ahead, do what you need to do to get it in there, and that'd be good. Then everybody could share it. Well, that'd be good too. The old bears, I guess they're kind of, I guess the old natural resources. I haven't heard much complaints about them as of late, but the darn litter bugs is still out. Man, somebody posted a darn picture on Facebook last week. I talked about it last week. Somebody posted a picture on the Facebook. Looks like they took a dump truck down there full of garbage, household stuff, couch or something. I don't know, all kinds of crap, and just dumped it off a steep embankment. Man, you know, I would like to catch a fool doing that. I'd tell you what, I'd get his tag number. I'd follow him around, call him Popo. I guess I did talk about it last week. But anyway, and the spam calls, my wife put me on that do not call list. I swear the FCC, I bet some clown at the FCC gets a list of everybody who's called and put their name on the do not call list and sells it to some Pakistani, Afghanistan, I don't know who they are. You want you to go to the darn Target store and buy some Target cards and do this or whatever they're doing to these poor folks that fall for it. That's a shame. But I think that's what's going on, you know. Would it really surprise you when they just found out how many billions of dollars this outfit was stealing from the fraudulent claims on the healthcare industry? Man, maybe they'll put some of these folks in jail and everybody else be going, you know, we better not be doing that anymore. And y'all heard me. When I answer the phone, it's like, hello. And when they come pick up, I'll say, hello, one more time. And they'll go, do you hear me? I say, you have reached the FBI Fraud Prevention Hotline. Please stay on the line and an agent will be with you momentarily. And they hang up. It's kind of fun to watch that do. But, yeah, let's strive to kind of, I just decided, I'm so sick of them. I just decided I was going to start agitating them right back. I was going to start just agitating them right back. How about hunting and trapping? Anybody getting ready for the hunting season? I know the son-in-law's been up here and he's been, you know, managing his little bitty plot that he's got down there in the back. And, he's doing a good job. I mean, he's paying attention to what is and what isn't out there, and he kind of plans his harvest. So I'm real proud that he's doing that good of a job. That means he cares. That means he wants to ensure that there's a healthy herd. And from what I see driving around here early in the mornings, there's a healthy herd. They said they saw a little bitty fawn the other day coming up the hill. Couldn't believe how little it was. And I was going down the road the other morning and a darn little old bear, that son of a gun wasn't no bigger than a puppy. He was running down the road trying to catch up with mama where she'd already beat me around the turn there. And I barely caught a glimpse. I said, what the heck is that? And it was a little bear. He was running his little heart out trying to catch up with mama going through there. So, that's good. So I hope you're getting ready for It don't take much if you got a hunting plant, if you got a hunting place. So I'm not opposed to plant some patch of collard greens or turnip greens. I keep them planted around here. Uh, you know, and I never see them get in it in the heat of summer when it's looking real pretty. But in the late winter, when them old collard greens and turnip greens and some of that kale's hanging over and lettuces and all that stuff, I see footprints out there pretty regular, and I can't eat that many collard greens. I still got a big old pretty patch of them out there. I might make me up my big old batch of them. I had trouble with the freezer too, man. I walked down there to get something out, and darn, it just didn't seem cold enough. Everything was still frozen, but it wasn't frozen hard like it normally is. And so I took everything out of the darn freezer and stuck it in the other freezer that we have down there and cut it off and gave it a couple days and went down there and I mopped it out, and the wife went down there and cleaned it out and sanitized it and turned it back on, and I loaded some stuff in it yesterday and seems to be holding temperature pretty good. I'll check it again tomorrow, then I'll take that stuff out of the other freezer. And I ordered a key. Maybe, and I looked and there's a bad seal on the back of that thing. I don't know. It's just that might have had it frost up or something and freeze the fan up or whatever, so it doesn't move air very well. I'm keep an eye on it. Maybe every now and then when I go down there to get something out, peek back there where the bottom inlet is or the bottom outlet and check it, make sure it's getting good airflow and check everything. So if y'all got any regular maintenance you do with your freezer, leave me a comment. Tell me what you do with your freezer. Fishing still seems to be going pretty good. Son-in-law said he went down there, him and the daughter. Went down to the river the other day, caught a bunch of them, what we call snits, and that's standard 9-inch trout that they raise up out of the hatchery and let loose in the rivers. And I've talked about it. It just ain't my time of year to go fishing. Number one, it's too daggum hot to fish for me. Now, I hate to say that, but it used to never be too hot nor too cold for me to fish. But the main thing is the darn crowds. I just don't want to get down in there messing with them old crowds. I feel like number one, there's leisure fishermen that go once a year and they're stomping around getting all up in my hole. And then there's the other ones that follow the stock truck down through there, and they're just meat fishermen trying to get their freezer full. So I don't know. I just prefer fall, winter, early spring, and I'll fish on up into May, I'd imagine. Start October. So that's October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So I fish 8 months out of the year, and that's only once or twice a week, but I enjoy it. Anyway, y'all get out and do some fishing. I did tell you a story about trout fishing bear. I'm looking at my notes on that from last week. That was a darn foolish thing. That was a crazy darn thing. Any of y'all tie your own trout flies? I attempted. I ought to show you. If I were to go out there to the truck, I look at somebody asked me about that the other day. But if you want to see some of my flies that I tie, or I set up another studio next door in the fly tying. So if y'all want to see that, y'all let me know. Leave me a comment and I'll try and set up a time, and heck, we can do like old Red Green does, have a segment where he's tying flies. Y'all ever watch that old crazy Red Green show? It's an old Canadian Canadian Broadcasting, CBS, Canadian Broadcasting. He was, I forget the name of the lake they lived on, but they had the old possum lodge, where old boys got together and they called themselves the old possum lodge, and they got together and they'd say, part of their routine was, I'm a man and I can change if I have to. I think I can. He does all kinds of crazy stuff with it. It's like he lives on a junkyard, or he's got all the junk he collects and he'll make something stupid out of it. It's a hoot, and it's good, clean fun. So if y'all ever want to check him out, the Red Green Show. I think he's still alive, kicking around, but it's probably from the 70s or 80s. It's a pretty entertaining thing. Well, I guess we talked about it a little bit. I don't know if I still got the newspaper up or not. It don't look like it. Doggone it. I had the newspaper up earlier, and I was looking at it and read through it, and I gotta make this comment. Uh-oh, what have I done? Uh-oh. I don't know what I done. I'm gonna blind that. Huh? Can I blind it? Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's I don't know what I'm doing now. Yeah, you sorry dog, you. I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm trying to get that darned old newspaper thing opened up. There we go. All right, so, and I was reading the local newspaper, and I gotta make a comment. I'm glad, I'm absolutely pleased that we have a local newspaper. But the one thing that's a little disappointing is the left-leaningness of it all, man. It's, oh crap. It really is kind of disappointing that it is so left-leaning. I mean, letters to the editor talks about the current administration is being lawless, and I'm like, hey, you're crazy. As many court battles as that man has gone through, and you think he's going anyway, him and Diddy always in trouble. And this old vet on there, man, that dude, I swear to goodness, I don't know. I don't even know his name. I do, but I ain't gonna say. I'm afraid I'll get sued. Some of the things, the thoughts I got on that old boy. I'm not sure he needs to be wearing breeches. and that's cool. If you're that way, you're that way. But and I guess nobody else takes up the mantle. No American or conservative or however you want to define it. I guess nobody else wants to take up that mantle, so he slipped right in that old slot. And letters to the editor. I guess they're the only ones these what was that? No Kings. I guess they're the only kind that make the noise and go in there and do it. I guess the rest of us is busy breaking our back trying to make money to keep this old country rolling the way it's rolling. And they probably kind of sitting around waiting on the check. But that's okay. We got the right. But anyway, it did have a listing, and this is what I'm grateful for, of community events, what's going on in the community, all these kind of things, even though some of it, I wonder if they're not sucking up government money in some shape, form, or fashion. And in some of these instances, like the Faith House and all that, I make contributions regularly to those, but sometimes I get the feeling they want more and more from less and less anyway. But there's a lot of 4th of July celebrations. A lot of fireworks going on. We got lakes up here. People go to the lakes and they shoot them fireworks up over the lakes, and it's pretty. I've seen it. I don't like getting around them crowds. In New Year's, I can sit out here on the porch, and when the leaves are off, I can see the fireworks in town, and I can see a little bit of them in the summertime sitting on the porch during 4th of July celebrations. But there's a lot of things going on the 4th of July. If you're inclined to, I encourage you to get out there and visit some of the restaurants and go out and eat, go out and see the fireworks, go out and do other things. We've got a lot of state parks around here. Tallulah Gorge State Park, Black Rock Mountain State Park. They got a lot of activities planned for around here, and all the way up into the Carolinas. There's all kinds of activities going on, but unfortunately or fortunately, we're on a main highway, and people travel out of Atlanta going up to the Great Smoky Mountains and Dollywood, Gatlinburg. Man, first time I went to Dollywood, I was like, whoa, man. I thought I was back in the 80s, on an acid trip. Big old gorilla hanging off the side of a building, an upside down house up there. Huge, huge thing. All kinds of crazy stuff. And, I used to go to Gatlinburg when it was Gatlinburg. And it was, back in the early 80s, towns up here, Helen, man, they were cool places to go. They weren't overcrowded. The college kids went there, and we had good times, and, ate at the Gazelle Shaft, and all the comments that went along with that. And Paul's on the River, and all those places have been there forever. And matter of fact, where I went to school in Dahlonega back in the early 80s, the drugstore was still a drugstore, not a gift shop. It still had a barber shop, Guys made a good living doing regular haircuts. Gas station was still the gas station and not some sideshow. And still had little bars that college kids went to. It was really nice. And the old courthouse in the square there was the old gold museum. Dahlonega had the first gold rush in America right here in North Georgia. Right here in North Georgia, just before the California gold rush kicked off. We had a mint in Dahlonega. And I've priced some gold coins out of the Dahlonega mint. Boy, they expensive. But I went to school there, and maybe one of these days I'll pull the trigger and get me one of them little bitty gold coins, spend a couple $1,000. But Dahlonega mint. It was a mint, a U.S. mint in Dahlonega, Georgia. And I went to school with a cat, and he had one of those, what do you call the things where you run the gold through and separate it out? A sluice. He had a sluice that it wasn't but, I don't know, 2-3 feet wide and 5 or 6 feet long. It had a motor on it with a pump, and he would wear snorkel or diving gear, and he'd go down the bottom of that river and suck that old sand out of it and run it through his sluice. And he told me he was making $700 a month. And this is in 81 or 82 in the Chestatee River. That's up there in Dahlonega. That's a lot of gold back then, man. That was probably it had to have been at least an ounce of gold back then. What was that? Be $700 an ounce? I don't have to go back and look at the records. But hell, that was paying his college, man. He'd go up there on weekends and paying for gold, sluice for gold, and that's how he paid for his college. I like that guy, man. That was a industrious young man. He's probably a millionaire by now doing that kind of work, finding out the way to do it, making it happen. But we were on the 4th of July, weren't we? Well, U.S. Mint, making money, gold. That's it, man. That's it. That's America. Opportunity. But during these, tomorrow is the 4th of July. Please, I'm asking you, take the opportunity at some point during the day and be grateful for those 50 some odd men who put their lives, their liberty, and their fortunes on the line to ensure what we have today. Now, we've got some problems, but it's still the greatest country on the face of the earth. So find a copy of the Declaration of Independence. I got a stack of them things of the Constitution in the darned old barbershop one time. They sat there for 2, 3, 4 months. I said, y'all gonna do anything with those? They go, no. I said, how much y'all want for them? He said, you can have them. I took almost all of them, and I just about give them all out. Young man, mostly young men, I would give them a copy of the Constitution and some immigrants. I said, read this, understand what your responsibilities and rights and freedoms are living in this country. And I'd give them all out. I looked around, I thought I had one, but man, I ain't found one. That son of a gun. If I have one out there in the truck, I'll have to look and see. But anyway, take a moment this week, tomorrow, and reflect on our founding fathers and the struggles, and think about what our freedoms are. And if you have children, talk with them about it. Share it with them. Tell them they live in the greatest place on the face of the earth. And the opportunities are boundless and endless. Just go for it. Get it. Couple things that in the state that I'd like to touch on briefly, since we've got a few minutes. I don't know if you agree with me, if you agree with it or not, but it looks like the state legislature has banned cell phones in schools, particularly grammar schools and middle schools. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think these youngins is overstimulated. They still need to be in touch with being a human being and being in nature, and not become so discombobulated away from who they are and what they are as human beings, and their relationship with nature. So I don't disagree with that at all. High schoolers, they're supposed to be able to, be a little more responsible at that age, and so I don't think I'd be in support of removing the cell phones from the high school. And then my wife told me this, and I read it. She says, they just signed a law. It used to be they didn't want you using the cell phone, didn't want you touching the cell phone. Now you can't even touch the cell phone, but they want to give you a digital copy of it to keep on your phone, of your driver's license. I'm like, okay. So you can't drive looking at it. You can't touch it while you're driving, but you can keep a copy of your driver's license on it. So I kind of agree with her on that. And then I got to thinking now, what about these old boys who's pilots, fighter pilots, jet pilots, commercial pilots? And, I got my little pilot's license, and I fly drones, and you imagine all the information them boys is managing at the same time and having to look at all the instruments, and you're telling them they don't not qualified to look at a cell phone while they're going down the highway at 55 miles an hour when they fly an airplane coming in fast on the runway at well over 100 miles an hour, and and they not qualified to look at a cell phone. Yeah, well, I guess not everybody's a pilot. um, and last week, boy, I was mad about them taxes. I'm still mad about them taxes. Man, 22% increase in taxes in this county over last year to this year. And the daggum property taxes, I mean, the property insurance is right on the tail of that kind of increase, and the school system doing the same thing. Yeah, man. And then the power, the power company making them, politicians making the deal with the power. I mean, with these big old computer centers, these what do you call the darn things? It's where they got these massive computers in there. Them things is sucking up the energy. And man, power bill across the state, most citizens has gone up 50% or better in the past couple of years. And the PSC came out this week and said they have prohibited Georgia Power from raising their prices over the next 3 years, their rates. But they could still increase the rates based on repairs they have to make or installing new equipment. They have to install a lot of equipment in them data centers. That's what I was looking for. I wonder how much power they got to run them data centers. And I know I live up here, and boy, they doing a lot of work too up here. They tap in. We had these old dams on these lakes up here. They ain't been running years, and now they all of a sudden trying to power them back up to feed them data centers. I mean, you even got the big old nuclear plant down there. Now, there is some saving grace. The criminal in the White House, according to most newspapers, is encouraging these nuclear fusion packages, and they're small enough they can fit on a site and power an industrial complex. So that's being encouraged, and I think that's probably the way we're going to have to go eventually anyway. We might as well get good at it, okay? So that's that on that. Don't forget, don't forget your flea markets. It's a good weekend, 4th of July, to go to flea markets out there and buy from the mom and pops. I know that a lot of people who own greenhouses, they get out there with their plants and their flowers and sell them. And people who make soaps and barbecue sauces, and people who go through barns and got barn finds, they'll bring them to the market, and gives you an opportunity to look at things and maybe find something that really interests you. So don't be sure and visit your farmers markets and your flea markets out there if you get a chance to. And then we talked about the 4th of July. All right. Well, running on down the clock here. I don't know if I got time for a story. What kind of story do I have? Let me think. Talked about the trout fishing bear, trout fishing beaver. I know I got a bunch of stories. I need to start writing them things down more. I told you about fishing with the old corks that time, putting them on a hook, copied that trout feed they got at the hatcheries. That they got them feeders out there in hatcheries, and they go through there and spread it, and them fish just getting on that stuff. They know what it looks like. And they got them on a timer too, buddy. But I got me a handful of that stuff, and I copied it and put it on. I think it was a 22 hook. And I'd go out on the stream, and I'd pick up a handful of that old sand gravel and start tossing it out there and make them think they's getting food from the hatchery, and then put my little hook out there with that piece of cork on it. And I was sure catching them. I didn't even keep them then either. I just turned them back. I thought it was just fun tricking them fool things. Anyway, that's the way she's shaking out. Now, I do like to take a few minutes and, you know, this is where we exchange ideas and resources, and we can trade here. If you've got something that you'd like to, got something been around the old homestead, been there for years, and you ain't gonna, you know, you've finally figured out after 20 years, you just ain't gonna have time to get to it, or don't have the desire to do what you thought you was gonna do when you got the thing that you got, and now you'd like to move it along. You know, Facebook is a wonderful thing, and that's how I found this mulch hay I was looking for. By the way, thank you again, Mr. Frank Hickox over there in Tiger, Georgia. I think it's Knob Farm. He had a bunch of them now, and it's good hay. It's good for mulch. It ain't good for feed. It's good for mulch, and he had a bunch of it. And it was $5 a bale, and I bet he's still got some left. I need to go over there, and if I ever get any cash in my pocket, I'll go over there and get some more of that. But if you need some mulch hay, I found it on the Facebook. So get over there and help out Mr. Hickok get rid of that old hay, because it ain't no good to him. He's got sheep, and it got wet or something. It ain't good for feed, and he'll tell you that. It ain't good for feed. It's good for mulch, and that's what he's selling it for. Help him get his fuel money back and his labor out of it for putting that stuff out and then gathering up and baling it. Help him out if you need some mulch around your house. Hay, man, that old mulch hay, that baled hay is good for erosion control. It's good for gardening. It's good for just controlling water. It's good for a lot of things, and it's good for the environment. So take advantage of it. If you need some of it, look him up on Facebook, or heck, contact me, send me a message, and I'll get you his information to help him get shed of that stuff. I'm still looking for a harrow disc. I think I'm saying that right. It is a disc from a farming implement called a disc harrow. And I've seen some small ones, but I want to get the biggest one I can find. I'm going to make me a pan out of it. And I'm going to try and build me. I don't know if I do it this summer. I might do it in fall. But I still got to get some steps built out here on that deck coming down the slope. I might see if I can hire somebody out to do that here. Maybe summer. Everybody's busy. It tickles the devil out of me. People post on Facebook, and they'll need somebody to come help them clean out a shop, come help them move some stuff. And boy, there's 100 people on there wanting to do it. When it comes time for them to come out there and do it, they never show up. If I was a younger man and stronger, I'd be making me a couple $100 a day getting out there hustling. I have before. I've washed windows. Man, I've done so much crazy stuff. Power washed, washing windows, paint, cut grass, cut firewood. When you got children and you worried about getting them some macaroni and cheese or some hamburger helper, and you got to put food on the table, man, we'll get out there. Now it's just me and the wife. She don't eat much. I eat more than I should, but it still costs, man. I don't know how people's making it these days with all these taxes going up and the cost of, people say, cost of fuel's gone down. I says it has. It's still around $3 a gallon where I'm at. And Trump was talking about it was down to what, $2 or something when he left, and how the price of gas is going down. I'm still thinking, doggone, man, it's still $3 a gallon around here. Where's the disconnect? Now, in all honesty, the state of Georgia took their state tax off the price of fuel when that previous bunch was in the White House, and they may be letting it come back on board, try and recapture some of that revenue. The state of Georgia gave some of the tax money back. I got some. I just give it to the Y. Ain't no telling what that's going to be spent on. But anyway, that's the way it shakes out. We got about 5 minutes left. What can I possibly talk about in 5 minutes? Man, I just want to sit here and ramble on endlessly about nothing, but that's what I do anyway. So let me look back through here and see if I covered everything. We talked about getting ready for the hunting season, what everybody's doing. We talked about the bears and the darn old litter bugs. And the Wolford Baptist Church, we appreciate the things that Bill Barker is doing over there, getting out that daily message, way to freshen the spirit every day. Talked about flea markets and farmers markets, getting out there, talked about celebrating the 4th of July and taking a moment to think about the significance of it, and getting out there, enjoying all the 4th of July activities. Now it's going to be a little warm. Make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids, and boys, I ain't talking about beer. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure them children getting plenty of water. You know, sometimes we get out there and we forget. Them kids, they burn a lot more energy than we do. You need to keep them little ones hydrated, and make sure you got them a ball cap on or some kind of hat on. Keep that old sun off of them, and maybe slather on some of that sunblock and help protect them. I got that young skin, you know. They'll get to teenagers and want to be out there without a shirt, getting tanned up, and then they got the old nasty skin like I got when you get my age. You know, you got them old spots and all wrinkles and stuff. But enjoy it. Get out there and enjoy it. And you know, I've been doing this for a while now, and I've been thinking about it. Maybe posting this on Facebook and see if anybody watches. I'd like to, you know, I've been putting out, and I'm trying to build a community here, and I ain't selling nothing. I'm just trying to build a community. But I think that we could really use a community. And you know, we used to have a radio station. We ain't got that anymore. And you got the Facebook, which is good, but people get on there and it's not well regulated, and somebody make a darn comment and everybody and it's funny, and I ain't mad about it, but they'll get out there and say, just make all kinds of silly. Somebody will ask a serious a serious question, and everybody in there that's been around a while start messing with them. That looks like Sasquatch poop to me. They post a picture of some poo on there and say, "What is this?" Oh, that's Sasquatch poo. Well, the other one the other day. Did y'all hear that boom over there on the lake? Somebody said, "Yeah, man, that old tannerite, you can get the good stuff. It goes boom real." Messing with them folks. And then you get them anonymous people on there talking about what a criminal Trump is and these Republicans. I'm like, You just posting anonymously. You just a fool. Anyway, you mean he might be kidding around. He's the guy's got free Diddy on his pickup truck, a bumper sticker on his pickup truck that says free Diddy. Them old folks wasn't going to convict that billionaire. He just whispered, man, I wish something happened to that dude. And about 4 people down, something has happened to that dude. Them people know it. Somebody might, take matters into their own hands. I don't know. Anyway, it is time for me to say goodbye. It is 7 o'clock, boys and girls. I've had a wonderful time sitting here talking to myself. If y'all scroll past this thing, send me a note and tell me what a fool I made of myself. And we'll see you again next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And in the interim, as always, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. And we'll